Hi guys, welcome to Alex Goes Coconuts. So today I'm going to go over what to pack for kids when taking a long haul flight. So taking a long haul flight with children can be quite stressful, and I think it gives most parents quite a lot of anxiety before the trip. And I think the key to having a great trip when traveling with kids is to be well prepared. You want to make sure that you have everything you'll need during the flight so that you can make your child as comfortable as possible and also keep them entertained as long as possible. So today I'm going to go over all the stuff that I carry on the plane to help make the long haul trip more pleasant for the child and for yourself. Now I have another video on what to pack for a long haul flight for adults, so you can definitely check that one out. I'll put a link right up here, and I'll also include a link in my description box down below, so if you want to know what to pack for yourself, that's a good video to watch. I'm also going to be posting very shortly another video on tips when flying with kids, so definitely keep an eye out for that one too. But today I'm really going to go over what I put in my kids' carry-on. Now, when packing things for your kids, I do suggest that you try to limit the amount of items that you're bringing onto the plane. Overpacking can be really annoying because it's just extra stuff that you're going to have to carry around, and it's also going to make everything heavier and more cumbersome. So when you're packing that on-flight bag for your child, just make sure that you pack only what you really need. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is what kind of bag to pack as a carry-on. Now, if you're traveling with a really young child, like a toddler or a baby, I definitely suggest that you bring a diaper bag where you can store most of everything that the child will need during the flight. And another thing you can consider bringing to the airport is an umbrella stroller. Umbrella stroller is really great because it'll help you navigate the airport a lot easier, and usually you can bring that umbrella stroller all the way to the gate, and they'll check it into the plane for you and give it back to you as soon as you exit the plane. So, navigating those airports with an umbrella stroller will be so much easier than, having to carry your child as well as all the bags you have to carry. Now, if you're traveling with a child that's younger than, 7 or 8 years old, don't even bother packing a bag for him. Just carry everything in your own bag. It'll just make everything so much easier. Now, if your child is 7 or 8 years old or older, I definitely suggest that he carries his or her own bag. I suggest a little backpack like this, which can be stored easily under the seat in front of him. I would maybe forego the little roll-on suitcases that are super popular for children. Those are a little bit cumbersome to open. Usually you have to store them in the overhead compartment, and you don't want to have to be getting up every time that your child wants something in his or her suitcase. Now, there are some little roll-on suitcases that are really small that you could fit in the seat in front of you, but those have to be opened fully when you want to access anything in the bag. So, you still have to pull them out to unzip them. So these are not the most practical bags as a carry-on. So that's why I suggest a backpack instead. These are just so much easier to access, and this is big enough for what you need to carry for your child. Now, if your child really insists that he wants like a little roll-on suitcase, instead of a little backpack like this, you can look at a backpack with wheels, and these are great because they can be carried as a backpack, but they can also be there's a handle on them and you can roll them around the airport. So if the child starts finding it heavy on his back, this is a great solution. All right, so the next thing you're going to need is the child's legal documents. So you definitely want to travel with a valid passport in your child's name. And if you're traveling with a child alone, so you're not bringing your partner with you, you're definitely going to want some kind of legal document that's signed by the other guardian that is not traveling with you. Custom officers are really strict about this because they want to make sure that you're not kidnapping the child or taking him out of the country without the other parent's knowledge. Alright, the next thing I recommend that you bring on your carry-on is a Sippy Cup or a refillable water bottle for an older child. Now, you can't bring liquids through security unless it's 3 ounces or less. So your sippy cup will have to be empty unless you're traveling with a baby. If you are traveling with a baby, you are allowed formula or baby's milk or whatever, but an older child will not be able to carry like juice boxes or any kind of liquids. So I just bring an empty sippy cup or an empty water bottle, and once I cross security, I either get a water bottle or get a juice or whatever and fill up the sippy cup with that liquid. This will ensure no spills during your trip, but you also don't want to rely on the drink service inside the airplane. You don't know when they're going to be serving you drinks, and you definitely want to have something for your child to drink if he gets thirsty. It does get really dry on those flights, and you definitely want something that can soothe your child if he's thirsty. Now, a thing to note is if you're traveling with a sippy cup or a water bottle that has a straw like this, you definitely want to open it during takeoff to make sure that air pressure doesn't build up in it, because if you leave it closed and you open it mid-flight, the liquid is just going to come pouring out and it's going to make a total mess. So make sure you open that sippy cup during your takeoff and landing. Another thing that I always bring when I'm traveling with kids is baby wipes. Baby wipes are good for babies, obviously, but they're also really great for sticky fingers and messy faces. So definitely a pack of baby wipes. I would also travel with disinfecting wipes. Now I'll use these disinfecting wipes to wipe down any surface that the child will touch, especially right now with COVID-19 going around. You would definitely want to make sure that everything is germ-free and disinfected before you let your kids touch any surface on that plane. I also suggest bringing a bottle of hand sanitizer for each one of your kids. I would just put this straight into their little backpack, so if they're planning on eating during the flight, they can disinfect their own hands before putting anything in their mouth. Another thing that I suggest bringing is a stain remover. I like these little Shout Wipe and Go instant stain removers. These are great. They're like wipes, but they have a little bit of detergent in them. So if your child does make a mess on himself, you have these to clean off any messes really easily. So another thing that you will need when traveling with kids is medication in case they start feeling ill during the flight. I always carry children's Tylenol or children's Advil with me. Just keep it in the original bottle when you're traveling. That way, if you do pass customs, they know exactly what's in the bottle. I also like to travel with anti-nausea medication for children. I know that they make nausea medication in chewable tablets. So this is really great. If your child, gets car sick or whatever, this is a great thing to bring onto the plane. You don't want him getting sick on the plane. Another thing I also always bring on a plane is allergy medication. So in case he gets like a rash or some kind of allergic reaction in the plane, I have that on hand to give to him right away. Now, if your child takes any prescription medication, you definitely want to bring that in the carry-on with you. So my one tip is to make sure that you leave it in the original packaging, and that it has your child's name with the prescription and the doctor who prescribed it to him. You want all the information available to you so that if you get stopped at customs, all the information is there and you won't encounter any problems. If your child has, food allergies, also, I definitely suggest that you bring at least 2 epinephrines with you so that, if we're on a long haul flight and he gets an allergy and I do have to use one of them, I'll have a second one as a backup. Same goes for if your son has asthma, definitely bring all your pumps with you onto that carry-on. Ear pain is a really big problem, especially with children, because sometimes they don't know how to tell you that their ears hurt. They'll just start screaming and crying during the landing because the air pressure will build in their ears and they're just gonna have so much pain. And I usually avoid that by cleaning out their nose before the flight. So I'll usually use a saline nasal spray before they fly to make sure that their sinuses are clear. If your child has a cold, Definitely, you know, give him some kind of nasal spray to clear up his sinuses. So you can also bring that nasal spray onto the flight with you so that you can give it to him halfway through the flight. Now, another trick to prevent that ear pain when you're taking off and when you're landing is to either give your child like a little lollipop to suck on, something that'll, you know, make his ears pop. If you have an older child, you can use gum, or if you have a baby, you can bottle feed your child during takeoff and landing. This will also help, you know, with the ear pain. Another thing I suggest bringing is some kind of hand cream. My child has really bad eczema and the air gets really, really dry. So I always bring eczema cream with me. All right, the next thing you want to pack is definitely a bunch of Ziplocks or plastic sealable bags like this. This is great for, you know, soiled clothes, but it's also great like in case your kid does get sick. This doubles up as a barf bag. You don't want to be looking for a barf bag when you're flying. Sometimes the barf bags aren't there, and if your child is going to get sick, you can pull this out really quickly. Another thing it's great for is garbage. So when your kid is eating snacks and stuff, he'll just give you all the wrappers and all this stuff. I just put everything into one bag. So when the stewardess passes, I can just throw out the Ziploc in its entirety with all the garbage in there. Now, when you're traveling with kids, I mean, this is a must. Most parents know this. You definitely want to make sure that you have a change of clothes with you. Now, if you're traveling with a really young kid, I even bring 2 changes of clothes during the flight. So I always carry 2 extra pairs of underwear. I also carry an extra t-shirt, an extra pair of pants, and I always bring a sweater, a little zip-up sweater for them. So if they get cold, they can put this on really easily. If they get hot, they can remove it really easily. Temperatures in an airplane can get really, really chilly fast. So make sure that you have that sweater with you at all times. Now, if you're traveling in the fall or in the winter, I always also bring a little puffer jacket like this. These are great for children. They can be rolled up and put into the backpack really easily. And if the child gets really cold, he can also add this as an extra layer. It can also be rolled up and used as a pillow really easily. I think they're a really great thing to travel with if you're traveling during the colder seasons. Now, a lot of people like to travel with a little neck pillow for children or babies. And honestly, if you're on a long car ride where your child is upright in a car seat or something, these are great. But on a plane, I just find these are just useless. My child has never used them. They just end up sleeping on me or on their dad or on each other. So it's just not worth bringing a little neck pillow like that. Instead, I usually always carry a little blanket like this, a little fleece blanket that I'll bring onto the plane. You can either cover them with this or you can even use this as a little pillow. If your child is used to sleeping with a little stuffed animal or a little baby's blanket, you can definitely pack this into their carry-on and make sure that, you know, they have this item with them to help them fall asleep. So the next thing you're gonna wanna carry on the plane with you for your child is food. You definitely don't wanna rely on airplane food. I definitely suggest that you bring a whole bunch of healthy snacks. When I'm traveling with kids, I bring, you know, sandwiches, like, you know, apples, cheese sticks, granola bars, crackers. If you have younger kids, you can bring Cheerios. I usually like to travel with these little reusable snack bags like this. I usually fill them up with tons of goodies, and then these can be washed and reused during your trip. Now, these are from the company Bumpkins, and they have a whole bunch of fun designs. Like, these are Superman ones, but I know they have like a whole bunch of Disney themed ones or princess ones or dinosaur ones. This is a great little thing to invest in before the trip. Now, if you're traveling locally, it's not a problem, but when you're traveling internationally, you won't be able to bring any fresh produce or dairy products into that country. So just make sure your child eats it on the plane, and if he doesn't, just throw it out when the stewardesses are passing. That way, you know, you won't have any trouble when you're passing customs. Now, if you're traveling with a toddler or baby, make sure that you bring baby food for that child. Usually that will not be a problem when you're passing security because, you know, obviously your child needs it for the flight. He can't eat regular food. Now, I don't give my kids junk food very often, but I do suggest that you bring a little bit of junk food as a special treat for the flight. Maybe some candies, some gummies, some chips also are really great little treats for the kids during the flight. These treats can either be used as a reward for good behavior, or you can even use them as a distraction. So if my kid is starting to act up and I see he's being fussy and he won't sit in his chair, you know, I'll pull out a bag of gummies like this and just say, hey, you want a bag of gummies? Maybe, you know, sit down in your chair, tie your seatbelt, and mommy will give you the gummies. And that seems to get them pretty quick into shape. So little, you know, candies or gummies or a little bag of chips. These are great little, you know, bribery items that I use on a flight. All right, now I'm going to be talking about the most important thing you're going to need when traveling with children. You need entertainment. A child will need constant entertainment throughout the flight. So unless he's sleeping, that kid needs to be entertained, because if not, he's just gonna get restless. He's gonna not want to sit still in his seat. He's gonna want to be, you know, running up and down those aisles, and that's what you want to try to avoid. So I'm gonna go over what I usually bring for entertainment for my children that has always worked. So I know toys are really the first thing that a parent thinks about when they're traveling with their child, but toys aren't really practical on a plane. Toys take up a lot of space. They can get lost in between the seats easily. Also, toys kind of get boring fast. Like if you pull out a toy, your child will play with that toy for about a minute or two, and then he'll lose interest. So toys don't keep a child's interest that long. So that's why I would not recommend bringing toys. All right, so I think the best form of entertainment, especially when you're traveling on a plane, just because it saves space, is some kind of, you know, electronic entertainment. Tablets are really great, or iPhones are really great. Usually if you have a streaming service, you can download all your shows or your movies that you want to watch onto your tablet or your phone really easily, and that's what you're going to want to do. If you do not have a streaming service, I definitely suggest that you pay for one right before your trip. I know that Disney Plus or Netflix has some really great kids shows, and you can download a whole bunch of those, and it'll keep your child distracted for quite a long time. You can also, you know, download some apps for them to play, some video games. Video game consoles like this can keep my child distracted for hours. He can play Minecraft on this for like 2, 3, 4 hours easily, and these things will keep your child distracted for longer periods of time than if you just brought a toy. Now, another thing you're gonna wanna bring on the plane with you is over-the-ear headphones. Now, they do make earphones for children. I'll put a link to the earphones that my kids used to use when they were younger. Those have like a lower sound so that, you know, it won't damage their ears. But if you have older kids, you can definitely just, you know, grab a regular pair of over-the-head earphones like this. And this is useful adults and kids alike. Now, if you have only one tablet like this, but you have 2 kids, you can get a splitter. So I get a splitter at the dollar store, and my kids can watch the movie together on the same iPad. And that has always been a really good solution when you're traveling with more than one kid. So a lot of the digital or electronic devices have to be turned off during takeoff and landing. So I suggest little activity books. Activity books have always been great things to travel with. You know, sticker books for really young children, doodle books like this, coloring books, any kind of like activity book that you can maybe do with your child is going to be something fun for him. So if you're bringing like coloring books or doodle books like this, you're also going to want to bring some coloring pencils for him to draw with. Now, my favorite are definitely these twistables from Crayola. These are great because these are pencils that you can twist up like this, so you don't have to worry about your crayons being unsharpened or breaking. This makes traveling so much easier. So I usually bring a little pencil case and put a whole bunch of these for my children in there. If you have younger children, they have thicker ones like this. These are same thing, they're crayons, but they're much thicker and they're easier to hold. So you can purchase the bigger ones, and these ones are scented. These ones smell like different fruits and stuff. So these are really fun for kids too, because they get all excited when, you know, you give them something special like this. Another thing that I always travel with is a game of Uno. So when you're stuck at an airport, bring a little set of cards like this in case your flight's delayed or while you're waiting for your flight. This is great to play with. You can play this also on the plane, but more often than not, I'll just play a game of Uno like this with my kids while we're waiting for our flight. All right, so now that I went over everything that I'm packing in my carry-on, let me just go over things that I do not suggest you bring. So this is what I would not bring in a carry-on. Like I said, I would avoid toys as much as possible. Anything messy like chocolate or something really sticky that'll make a mess. Any loud toys, definitely leave those at home. You also want to avoid cheap stickers. If your kids start sticking them all over the airport, I'm telling you, the stewardess really won't be happy with you. So definitely get stickers that are easily removable. Or the ones that come with the activity books. Another thing I wouldn't bring on a long haul flight is Play-Doh. Play-Doh is just too messy and it can get everywhere, and it's just a mess to carry onto a plane. Another thing I would avoid is Lego. I know a lot of kids love to build Lego, but a plane is really not the place to do that. There's lots of small pieces, they slide off, you know, the little trays, and if they fall on the floor, you will lose those pieces really easily, and that you can guarantee that your kid's gonna be having a huge fit looking for those pieces. Another thing you wanna avoid bringing are balls or anything that rolls, because it'll just roll off wherever your child is sitting, and then it's lost, it's gone during the flight. All right, guys, so those are all the things that I would pack on a child's carry-on for a long flight. Let me know in the comments below what you pack when you take a flight with your children, or if I forgot anything. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.